it's crazy. Like in the moment of it, you're in survival mode, right? I think after the fact is the tough part. It's crazy because the thing is I was aware of the tumor on my testicle where it began, like very very early on, and I didn't do anything about it, and I paid the price. But what it did is, I don't know if it was because it was too big, but for whatever reason, it left all this dead tissue. It left all this it left all this tissue right here in my right frontal lobe.
So what did you end up losing then?
So I have what's called, it's left-sided hemiplegia. I believe I'm pronouncing that correctly. It's weakness on my left side. So
it kind of seemed like depression got set into you.
Yeah. So that was kind of the beginning of a deep depression. I would say that I don't know what began first, but that's when I really got into like heavy drug use. And
you have like a weird sensation where it's like your mind and your body are like two different entities. You know, like if you want to hurt your body, but you also don't want to hurt your mind, and you want to be comforted. So it's a very weird, like, how do you like hurt yourself without hurting yourself, if that makes sense?
I've discovered that I'm in the lowest quarter percentile of people of memory for people my age. I just discovered that recently, and I think that has a lot to do with what I've just told you. So I have a hard time remembering the things that I've gone through. But
your name is Brian, okay?
My name's Brian.
Recount on the experiences seems normal. Like, I don't think you'll remember everything, and I think some people's minds just don't want to remember it. Like, sometimes you become, like, immune to collecting memories, which could be a good thing for a lot of people. And, I mean, also, sometimes, like, days just melt together, too. That you don't know what day it is or whatever.
No, totally. I appreciate you normalizing that. And yeah, I gravitated towards Play It Back. And there's this guy named Kenley, and he had a studio in Santa Monica. And I basically just went there, and we started to create music. He's a professional producer, so it was just really cool to sit down and start to make music and learn that whole process. But that is a very significant part of how I started to heal.
I mean, you were living the life of a rock star without the actual music part.
That's a very accurate assessment.
Hello, welcome to my podcast, Too Much Fun, Joe Suits. I am Joe Suits. I'll be giving a mic to Brian. Brian is a testicular and brain cancer survivor. He is also an artist named RiGhtSiDE who creates his own music. There's a reason he chose that name, RiGhtSiDE, but we'll get that to in a little bit. The first question is, are you okay, or are you alright?
I'm alright.
Yeah. Well, too bad your name is not Matthew, so. But, yeah, so before we talk about your music career, let's talk about cancer, because having cancer had led you to this music path. You had testicular cancer in 2011. It was very treatable, going to treatment during the day, then classes at night, total badass. You graduated, blah, 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 blah. In 2012, you went to see a movie and you had a seizure, and it was revealed that you had a brain tumor. What was going through your head?
I think in that moment, I was just like, it all happened real quick, right? And then I came out on the other side of the seizure, and we found out about the tumor. It was, I don't know. It's like, it's crazy. Like in the moment of it, you're in survival mode, right? I think after the fact is the tough part.
Oh, you weren't upset that you were going to miss the movie?
No, I definitely was not. But I wound up going to see it at some point.
You were like, shit, the movie's starting, let's go.
Yeah, dude, it happened in the middle of it, so I was very fortunate because two of my friends were EMTs. So two of the people sitting next to me were trained EMTs.
Dang,
so
okay.
It's crazy.
Did you get a refund on your ticket?
No, I don't think so. I don't remember, honestly. I don't think so, though.
Damn. So you were having a seizure, and then I guess the first instinct for you to go to the hospital, and then they do a CAT scan or MRI on your. I guess that the most normal thing with a seizure is to check your brain.
I think so. So I have a really horrible memory, and I think that's important to state right now, and that's for a lot of different reasons. From what I gather, though, I think it had to be an MRI. I'm going to, like, not even say that that's 100% true, but I think it was an MRI. Either way, they found out I had a tumor and just kind of had to dive back into treatment and all that stuff.
So you have a tumor in your head. Were there any other symptoms besides the seizure that was happening, or was this like a random happening?
It was really, more or less at that point, was the seizure. So the grand mal was the obvious one. Even after the fact, I was still having seizures, though. So we went ahead and... I say we a lot because my parents were with me the whole time. That's why I say we. Mm-hmm. We went ahead and... I got radiation for I had a brain tumor in my initial cancer, and so we went to the same I got radiation for that, and we went to the same doctor, and I got radiation for this second tumor. And it worked. It killed the cancer, but what it did is it left this dead tissue in my brain, which was causing me to continue to have smaller seizures, not necessarily grand mals, but I continued to seize quite a bit. And we wound up...
Wait, so you're saying that you had... So you're saying you had brain cancer earlier, and then you got the chemo, and it went away, or it was dormant, I guess?
Right.
And then came back a year later?
Right. So my first cancer was like in February of 2011. It's metastasized. So my original cancer was testicular cancer, and it metastasized to my lung and to my brain. So I had chemotherapy. I had what is called an orchiectomy, which is I had my testicle removed, and then it metastasized to my lung, and so we started chemotherapy after that, and while I was getting chemotherapy, we discovered the brain tumor, which I got radiation for. And at that point, my cancer, like, as bad as that sounds, it was pretty treatable, and so I went into remission in, like, May of 2011, and then that other seizure... or the seizure that happened after that was in October of 2011, and that's when we discovered the tumor, the second brain tumor.
It's kind of crazy that you had cancer in, like, almost your whole body, like it wasn't just a center point.
Yeah. No, for sure. It was, it's crazy because the thing is... I was aware of the tumor on my testicle where it began, like, very, very early on, and I didn't do anything about it. And I paid the price by not doing that, which is why all the metastases happened and stuff.
I mean, I don't blame you. For one, it's a private area. You're not, the last thing you want to go to your doctor, like, look, pull your pants down, like, hey, look at this. Like,
yeah.
But, like, I don't have cancer, and I never had cancer, but, like, the chemo, is there a different chemo for different parts of your body?
That's a really good question. I'm not sure. To be full disclosure, when I had all this going on, I pretty much passed everything over to my parents, and they would have more of an understanding of everything that's going on than I did. All I know is I had 4 different chemotherapies for what I was going through, and it was like, I want to say an 8-week period. It was just like Monday through Friday I was getting chemo all day. Well, half the day. All days in it.
When you say your parents took care of everything, do you mean that your brain cancer was affecting your memory, or were you just, like, too young and too unable to handle everything?
It was that. It was more that, the too young and just having difficulty to handling all that. Like, I know people in my situation wind up having to take care of themselves. I was fortunate enough to have my mom and my dad there and just walking me through it.
Well, I'm assuming they have no idea what was happening either.
No,
right? That didn't run in the family or anything?
no. I had. I mean, my grandfather had a few different cancers, but I think, not as far as testicular cancer is concerned, I might have been the only one that I know of.
So you say you got chemo and then your brain tumor went away. What did you say, it went away or it became dormant and effective?
So the chemotherapy, I believe, was primarily for my lung. So that the cancer in my lung went away, and then the radiation destroyed the tumor that was in my brain. So I had radiation for that, and cancer was gone. Like, no sign of cancer after those 2 treatments.
Okay, so when you got the seizure and you got the brain cancer again, what changed so you couldn't get chemo anymore and you had to get brain surgery?
So the radiation on the brain, it killed the cancer. Cancer's dead. Like, I'm cancer free at that point. But what it did is, I don't know if it was because it was too big, but for whatever reason, it left all this dead tissue. It left all this it left all this tissue right here in my right frontal lobe, and that's what they had to get rid of, because that's what was causing me to have seizures.
So what was the risk of you going into surgery to remove the tumor?
So I was told that I was going to come out with some level of paralysis on my left side. To what degree, we didn't really know, but they had warned me of that going into the brain surgery.
So what did you end up losing then?
So I have what's called, it's left-sided hemiplegia. I believe I'm pronouncing that correctly. It's weakness on my left side, so I'm kind of in a tight space, but I can't necessarily move my hand all that well. Like, there's still some nerve connection there, but I can't really do it all that well. And then I have range of motion in my arm. It's just very difficult to move. And then it's on my lower part of my body too, so my leg and my toes are kind of, it's hard to move my toes, but I can walk and have some functionality out of my left side still a little bit, but that's more or less what happened.
It's crazy, like, what happened to the body when you, like, start touching it a little bit. Like, why can you move, like, part of your body, but not, like, your fingers, for example? Like, it's so strange.
Yeah. No, it's wild. As far as I understand it, like, that's, like, the most intricate part, as far as, like, there's more nerves there. And this is what I remember people saying. So whatever connection I have there, it's going to take longer for connection to get back there. It takes longer for connection to get back there. That's my very, like, limited understanding of what's gone on. I didn't take anatomy.
Well, I hope you're a righty.
Yeah, I'm a righty, right dominant, so I can drive. And it's not too difficult to function. I'm independent, and yeah, so I'm very fortunate in that regard.
Yeah, I was gonna say, if it was your other hand, you would have a whole extra challenge of, like, writing, and I mean, no one writes anymore, so I guess you're okay with that. But you know, it's weird to just switch hands all of a sudden. I don't even know why it's kind of weird that we are one-sided. Like, why can we both be ambidextrous, I think is the word. Like,
right.
Why, yeah, I'm a righty too, but, like, the lefty is very rare, but, like, why is it a thing, though? I think it's a genetic thing that we're just, but still.
Yeah, I have no idea.
So, like, when you got out of the surgery, was it that kind of, like, it for you? Like, you got the chemo, it wasn't working well, you got the surgery, removed it, and then is that it for you? Like, you, like, heal your scars, and then whatever you are, and what you will be forever?
Yeah, in a way. There was, like, a very intense period of physical therapy when I first got out. I had some physical therapy in the hospital, and then I did outpatient near home. And I actually healed up pretty well at first. And then, for whatever reason, It's like one day I was sitting in a chair at home watching television, and like the 6 months I think it was of work that I had put in, I called it the reset. So I just went right back to where I was when I first got out of surgery. So I put in all this hard work, and then boom, back to where I was. And yeah, it has. It's hard for me to see the change, if it's gotten better over time. I think so, especially with a lot of things I have going on right now. But in the moment, it felt like that was it. Especially when the reset happened. That's when I kind of threw in the towel in a lot of ways.
So it kind of seemed like depression got set into you?
Yeah, so that was kind of the beginning of a deep depression. I would say that I don't know what began first, but that's when I really got into like heavy drug use and like I don't know if the mental health issues preceded the drug use or came after it, you know. So, but the mental health and drug stuff started to begin right around after that the reset happened.
So it just seems that like you got the motivation from the people around you, and once you got home and stuff where you didn't have that crowd anymore, you lost motivation yourself, and then you had to deal with the reality of your new normal, and you couldn't handle it, so you went to drugs and whatever you could do to better yourself.
Yeah, no, I think that's a very fair assessment. I abused drugs and alcohol before I had cancer, and I think that was all the only way I really knew how to cope with what I was going through. So I had really never developed any like healthy coping mechanisms. It was just all I knew. And you know, like I had used that throughout that entire cancer experience that I just described. So it's kind of all I knew.
I mean, I know people are gonna be like, "Oh, don't do drugs and alcohol," but like, it's easy to say from the outside, from the inside. We kind of don't know what you're going through, and it's hard for any person to accept a new reality, especially if you're losing. It's like a weird sensation, like you have your body, but it's like not working with you, and like you don't know how to handle it at all, and there's no proper way to handle it. Like there's nothing. The thing about mental journey is like there's nothing anyone can tell you to make you feel better. You know, it's kind of like it's all up to you how you want to accept it, and I can't be mad at you for the way you handled it because it's very hard to accept. Like your life change basically overnight.
Yeah. It's tough, man.
So you were saying when you were on a couch and like you reset, well, that's the moment where like, did it your new normal, or did you kind of go to like a roller coaster of emotions?
There was probably some acceptance of that on some very deep level, and then it just spiraled out of control after that. I don't know. I remember this one specific instance when I was lying down in bed, and it just kind of, I think the reality of it hit me, and yeah, because you kind of described it. It's like a weird sensation, not being able to use a specific part of your body, or just losing control over that. And I think when I realized it in that moment is kind of when things took a left turn.
Yeah, it's hard to be mad because you can't really be mad at anybody or anything. Like it is like, but like you want to be mad at yourself, but you also can't be mad at yourself because it is yourself. And like you should be like kind to yourself. So it's like you have like a weird sensation where it's like your mind and your body are like two different entities. You know, like if you want to hurt your body, but you also don't want to hurt your mind, and you want to be comforted. So it's a very weird, like, how do you like hurt yourself without hurting yourself, if that makes sense?
That's just an interesting way to think of it. I don't think I've ever really looked at it that way. For my personal experience, I blamed a lot of it on myself. So I think on it deep down, I was angry at myself in a lot of ways.
No, like of course, like, but like, so you say you go from 6 months of rehab and then your body resets.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how long did you stay at a how long was your downward spiral until you realized that you had to change your ways and start going up again? Like a year, 2 years? Like what do you say?
So it was probably maybe 4 years. And there's a lot that went on in that time. Yeah, I've discovered that I'm in the lowest quarter percentile of people of memory for people my age. I just discovered that recently, and I think that has a lot to do with what I've just told you. So I have a hard time remembering the things that I've gone through. But
Your name is Brian, okay?
my name's Brian.
Or
I always think of
Matthew.
that. I always think of that. You ever seen 50 First Dates with Adam
With
Sandler?
Adam Sandler and Jennifer Aniston.
I think it's
Aniston?
Drew. I think it's Drew Barrymore. Yeah.
Let's check it out.
There's this dude in there named Todd, and he introduces himself like every few seconds because he forgets who he is. Like he has some kind of severe issue. What?
You're right. It's Drew Barrymore.
He goes, "Hi, I'm Todd," and then something
I'm-
will go on, and they'll introduce himself. Again.
I'm just talking to you. I don't see any bad memory loss. I mean, I think your recount on the experiences seems normal. Like, I don't think you remember everything, and I think some people's minds just don't want to remember it. Like, sometimes you become, like, immune to collecting memories, which could be a good thing for a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
And, I mean, also, sometimes, like, days just melt together, too, that you don't know what day it is or whatever.
No, totally. I appreciate you normalizing that.
I just want to say to my audience that I never had cancer, but I'm really, really sick in the head. Like, even my therapist is like, Jesus Christ, what's wrong with you? Anyways, this is about you. Cancer recovery and living the new normal is hard for anyone. You have said that Teen Cancer America has helped you get your groove back. Was it the playback program?
Right. So when I had sobered up and just tried to like get back on my feet again, I ran into Teen Cancer America, and that's what they threw out, the Play It Back music program, amongst a few other things. I actually thought I was getting a job with them, so I thought I had gotten a second interview, but they kind of were just like, how can we help you? And so I was like, oh, I'm not getting a job, I guess, and they threw out all these programs. And yeah, I gravitated towards Play It Back, and there's this guy named Kenley, and he had a studio in Santa Monica, and I basically just went there and we started to create music. He's a professional producer, so it was just really cool to sit down and start to make music and learn that whole process. But that is a very significant part of how I started to heal, and in that way that like a doctor or anybody with letters after their name can't necessarily help you with.
So you're saying that you never really had any experience with music, but when you saw the program, it kind of interested you to get your feet wet, and then you submerge yourself into it?
Yeah, for the most part. So I had written a few songs when I was 18 or 19 with a friend, and then when I was going through cancer, I wrote a song or two, and then I kind of knew that I was going to wind up doing something with music at some point in my journey on some deep level. And then but getting back to what we're talking about with Play It Back, that was the first time that that kind of reignited that interest that I kind of had but never really tapped into or just really got into, you know what I mean?
I think like one of the things, like you said, they were the famous producer or whatever. I think sometimes you just need someone better than you to kind of like guide you in a way before you were just like dabbling with whatever you use to create music. But sometimes you just need to, I guess, submerge in that world too, because it's always hard to find someone that like you but not in the same world, and it's hard to find someone that had that drive to do it.
No, totally. Kenley really taught me a lot, and he really believed in me, and it's just it was very serendipitous that we met, and he had the skill set that he has, and was able to help me and get me into it. That's for sure.
Well, the only thing I'm thinking of, like, could you trust his opinion? Because, like, on the one hand, like, he's a famous producer, but, like, on the other hand, like, he wants to motivate you. So, like, what happens if you're, like, really, really bad, but he's gonna say you rock just so he can give you, like, positive feedback because you went through so much shit. They don't want to, like, bring you down, you know?
Yeah. No, I mean, I think that's like a natural thing to think. Yeah, he's such a genuinely nice guy that, like, even if there was something about you that just seemed like you weren't all that great, he'd pick like the first three things that he would see that like was good about what you're doing, and kind of leave all that stuff out. But
No, I get it. Yeah, I don't know. I get worried that people that are really nice to me, like, I don't know, kind of like the one that are meaner because you trust their opinion a little more. Just from that, like, I'm in a rotating relationship, so like one thing I would say is like I loved it when it ended, you know, and everyone would laugh, and then I don't know music, so I'm not good with that kind of opinion. Like, you sent me a song called Chess. I actually liked it a lot. It just needed more. It just needed like a verse or two, like, or maybe not. I know everyone had like a skill set, like, so you have a good skill set in terms of creating a chorus. So now you have to like get a singer in it too, now, like that can create the verse to it, and then like combine forces, and you'll become the new. I'm trying to think of a band like. I was thinking like before we were doing this interview, so like, but everyone knows his artist name is RiGhtSiDE because he only has his right side that he can use. So I was thinking like before we started the interview, you should name yourself Mr. Brightside, like after the song by the Killers, Mr. Brightside, and then play along with that or something, or All Right or something, like something cool. Like, that'd be really cool. Like, and here it comes, All Right, and then you walk out on stage and such.
I think my first time I named myself Mr. RiGhtSiDE, my Instagram handle, my Twitter handle, all that stuff is I'm Mr. RiGhtSiDE, which is playing on the Mr. Brightside song by the Killers. So I've kind of like played with that a little bit, but I just kind of I don't know why I went
you
to
thought
right
of it
side.
more than I did.
That's what I had a friend when I went to rehab to get sober.
The marketing.
I had a friend who actually gave me the name Right Side because I do everything with my right side. So naturally, he just called me that, and it just kind of stuck. I don't know, maybe in some ways.
It's literally perfect for you.
Yeah, no, it makes a lot of sense. That's for sure.
So we all love music, and people who don't like music, which they do exist, should be executed immediately. So I know musicians run in your family. Why were you so adamant of having music become your passion since you were clearly skilled and it fulfills your soul? Well, I know when we were doing the video chat with Rick, like, you didn't want to be submerged in the music, like, area because your family was part of it, and I questioned it because your family was into it, like, you're obviously not going to like it, so was that a big reason why you didn't really start till you were like 18 to be a musician or an artist?
I think that was probably true on some level. I don't know. Growing up, I gave up on myself at like an early age. Like, when I got into junior high, basically, I would say like things just kind of took a left turn as far as me like caring about doing anything. Like, all I wanted to do was play video games and just be cool. You know, like, those were like two concerns. And I didn't like...
I mean, making music is pretty cool, though. Like, if you're good at it.
No, that's for sure, man. Absolutely. I just, I don't know. I had my head in some other things, and I didn't gravitate towards it as much as I would.
I mean, you were living the life of a rock star without the actual music part.
That's a very accurate assessment. That's for sure, man. No, absolutely.
I mean, maybe it fueled you to make these songs. Like, you never met a sober musician.
since I've been sober, I've met
I
quite
liked
a
her
few.
name was
But
like, I know we gotta do something. Like, maybe not like now, but like you had to do something in your past to get to that. You need to. You can't have a happy life and be a musician. You have to go through some shit and then become a musician because like no one's gonna want to like hear about like I woke up today with zero depression and no mental health issues and everything great. No, people want the drugs and sex and rock and roll.
yeah, no, I definitely think like the music we all probably relate to came from some kind of struggle, right? It has to, I think, or some kind of, I don't know. I'm not even going to speak on the behalf of everybody. I'm just going to take 2 steps back there.
I mean, you say that, but I feel like a lot of us like music that we can't relate to in a way. Like we listen to music about doing drugs and alcohol, and like we don't. Most of us haven't done it that much. Like videos of like them doing cocaine and like rappers like having sex with 50 women in 2 weeks, and like most of us are not even doing that. Like we're listening to the song on our way to go to work.
Yeah. No, that's a good way of putting it. It's funny, you're right, because all the music I like it pretty much describes a lifestyle I used to live, and like I don't necessarily agree with anything that's being talked about in any of the music I listen to. But the thing is like the sound. I think we talked about this the other night, was like just the way that it sounds, right? Or maybe there's some allure to like even just experiencing that.
Or it's not provocative and you'd love it.
Yeah, exactly. But I don't know, man. I for whatever reason I've always gravitated towards like music that's just kind of like doesn't necessarily talk about wholesome things. But I don't necessarily know if it's anymore.
Well, what
if it's
musician would you compare yourself to? Or like what style are you trying to mimic?
I would say it's like twofold. I think like I've always loved rap, and like I love rapping, and so my influences are, I listen to a lot of underground New York rap now. I listen to man, I haven't listened to him in a little bit, but I kind of got on this like wave of listening to this group of 3 dudes named, and they go under the moniker of Griselda, and there's like a whole bunch of rappers that operate in that world. So like Rome Streets, 38 Spesh. Yeah, not a whole lot of people have heard of him, but these guys, in my opinion, are the best rappers that are out there. And yeah.
Have you ever heard of Eminem? I hear he's up and coming. I think he'll make it big.
Yeah, no, don't get me wrong. I grew up on Eminem for sure. Like I had the Slim Shady LP and the Marshall Mathers LP, right? I don't know, Slim Shady. I don't know, dude. Yeah, I listen to Eminem. Did you listen to Eminem?
Of course, yeah. Every white person does. I mean, he has a great song, but like, I'll just say that like, I think it's also a combination of him becoming sober, and also just age. But like, it's also I don't know. Everyone loved their earlier stuff. It's like I loved when he did the earlier goofier songs, and it was so well done and everything. Now things are more serious, and miss the old him, but like he's also in a good mental place and such, and like I don't know. I mean, also the thing about like musician that a lot of musicians, they create like a couple of 100 songs, and we only hear like 5% of it.
Yeah.
Like we have so we have like Mac Miller, right?
Mm-hmm.
He died I think 4 years ago, and somebody released like 2 albums with him. Like I can't imagine like someone like Kanye West and Eminem. He has probably hundreds of thousands of songs. I know Lil Wayne has thousands of songs. He said all he does is rap. Like he loves recording and such.
Mm-hmm.
And like he must have thousands of just amazing tracks that would never see the light of day.
Yeah, no, that's the thing is like, I think people like Eminem just like rap because they truly love to rap. You know, like even though like him or Lil Wayne aren't necessarily, I mean, they're obviously really popular, but they're, if you want to call it their prime anymore, like I think they just do it because they love it. But yeah, it's crazy the amount of.
I mean, their work is so amazing, though. They're on a different level.
No, for sure, absolutely, man, they're unreal. And I think you said it right. Like in my experience, like you write a bunch of songs, but you don't necessarily release them because you don't like them, or they're garbage, right? Like not even, but like I'm not saying that the stuff that that Mac and all these people like are releasing, or people are releasing them on their behalf, like it's good music. That's the crazy part, right? Which is probably why those dudes are so talented, right? Like, and got the attention they've gotten over the years, and even when they're not here, it's wild.
No, yeah, and then I think the other thing is it's hard to pick songs that you want to like put on an album. Like you kind of don't, like, you may love the song, but like everyone listening to it like will shit on it, and it's like, okay, you know, it's kind of like you don't know how the audience will react. Or I know there's some songs that like been released and then nothing for like years and years, and then all of a sudden it just picks up and then becomes the #1 hit. So strange.
Yeah, it's weird, but I mean, like, it's just music. I think we actually talked about this once. Like, music is subjective, right? Like, you know, people are gonna like what they like, and people are gonna hate what they hate. Like, there's probably people out there who love Eminem's new stuff. Someone's listening to it, right? Like, but I'm, you know, like you or I might not be a fan of it. So
I mean, there's a certain level of liking someone's music, but you can also appreciate their talent, though. Like, you may not love Eminem and him cursing and stuff, but like his talent is unbelievable. Like, you gotta give him some credit.
no,
you know?
100%, man. That dude's
Like
unreal.
great wordplay,
Yeah.
all of that. Yeah, like I can imagine being Eminem. Like, I don't know. I would like to keep releasing music all the time. I think like I'm not a musician, but like I do YouTube videos, and like I love releasing my videos so the world can see it and see what the world thinks. But like at the same time, I also don't care because I'm doing it for myself, and like I'm only gonna attract people that like me. Because like when you create a song, like what's your favorite part? Do you like creating the song, or is it more like you like to perform it?
Performing is pretty rad, but I think like creating it is definitely the most fun part. Yeah, it's funny. I've reached this weird point where all I do is like I just make beats, and I don't really like. I'm doing it for fun, you know. It's kind of like I've gone back to this place of the reason that I did it, which is just to have fun. It's kind of where it started with Play It Back, was to just have fun, and I think that's what it boils down to. Is that how you feel about what you do too, though? Like you're just having fun, like you're having a good time with what you're doing.
What do you? I mean, when I did the videos, I'm everything, so like I have to like worry about everything. But like when it comes to music, like you have to be good at everything. Like you can have, like you say you like to make beats, so you could be a person that creates beats, you know, and then you have someone else that creates the chorus, and you have someone else that creates the verses, and then, you know, you could have a person that creates the hook of it. Like there's so many like producers, like you'll see in the songs, like there'll be like 4 or 5 producers, you know, like different artists writing the song. Like there's so much more that goes into it. And then also if you look at like the music grid or whatever, it's like I think there's like 3 instruments playing, but if you look at like the like in between, like on the computer, there'll be like 10 to 20 different layers in a song in 1 second. And I'm like, what? Like, for one, most of us had like shitty headphones, like AirPods. Like, you're not gonna hear all of that. So like, it's just amazing how much work goes into a song, of most songs. And it's, you know, I think we kind of just take it for granted of like, oh, this is a song, but like a lot more goes into it. Not like you create a beat in an hour and then you write a song in an hour. I mean, some musicians do, but like sometimes people are there for like weeks or months, or I think some albums take like a couple of years to produce. I'm like, what are you doing in all that time?
Yeah, I think people's processes are different, right? Like I could speak from my own experience. I only have like, I don't make something that I think is like good so often. You know what I mean? So I like when I see these artists who haven't put out an album for a couple years, maybe they're sitting there grinding, you know, like just making tons of songs, and they just haven't made anything that's up to their standard yet, or whatever. They're taking a break. I don't know.
Of course, I mean, sometimes it's also a we're not ready for the music either. Like it's kind of weird. Like some songs will just be released and like everyone will sleep on it, and then all of a sudden it just becomes this big hit and like great. Like we talked about it before. Like we'll listen to a song like 20 times, and we'll hear like 2 lines of it, and like hits us really hard, and you're like, whoa, what did he say? Like what? Like now I understand. It's like so weird. Like, but also music, so a lot of effort goes into songs, and I think most of us will just glossed over it too. Like we don't understand like the complexity of like the word lines. Like an example with like Eminem or Lil Wayne, like they use a lot of a I don't know what the word is, but like double meaning and like great wordplay that most people wouldn't even understand the talent it takes to rhyme words like this. And then I mean we're also in an age where there's so much, you know, like for you, there's music, for me, for video, there's so much content out there that it's hard to keep up with it. And it's like, holy shit, like there's so much. Like, I feel special when someone like watching my video, because like you could be watching so much other shit, but here you're watching my video for the 10 minutes or 15 minutes or 20 minutes. You know, it's crazy that people listen to us and take time out of the day to do something. So it's kind of like it is awesome kind of feeling.
No, for sure. I can relate to that a lot. There's just oceans of content. You're right, man. There's so much out there. And it is, even like you get like one extra view or one listen for, I don't know, for like a guy like me, that's a big deal, right? Because someone, took the time to listen to it, and maybe you're impacting their life in some positive way. Or you're not.
Well, what? I mean, I don't know if it does on Spotify for you, but like, on my YouTube, it tells me like the average, how long they watched the video. Like I will literally know like how much they watched of the video. Like it'll be like my average is around like 2.5 minutes to 3 minutes. You know, like it'll tell you like how many people watched the whole video. 75% of it. It's just, I mean, I don't pay attention to numbers too much because at the end of the day, it's all about what I like about it. But still, it's just kind of like, I think for someone, if you don't have good self-esteem about it, you're just gonna like question your future self all the time, and you can't pay attention to numbers.
Yeah, that's crazy. You have I've never seen the metrics like that on YouTube. They have like a thing called Spotify for artists where you can see those kind of metrics. I don't know about the song, the length of time that someone's actually paying attention to what you've created, but
well, you have like I don't know, but like music is also weird, but like. How, like when I create a video, I kind of think of a topic and then write a video about that. Like, how do you approach a song? Do you have the title in mind and write, or do you listen to a beat and let it speak to you? Like, what's your creative process?
So I started out just listening to beats and then just writing lyric and melody over them, or rapping. But in my experience, like, you can go into something with a mindset and kind of write about that, but for me it's always just kind of come out. Like it's much more spiritual than anything, so just kind of like whatever I'm trying to convey will just come out of me. And there's like, I don't know, every once in, like I was at this point in time where I was just writing a lot of stuff, and just occasionally like I'd have something awesome come out. But again, like that's just kind of speaking to the just writing until you get something good, right?
Well, what's cool about music is that when you write something, depending on the artist, they can change the whole way of how it sounds. Like some songs would be like fast paced and such, and then some artists will make it slower, and it sounds so good. Or sometimes they'll put it to a different beat, and it almost sounds like a new song. And it's like crazy that it's the same lyrics but totally viewed differently.
Yeah, there's a lot of really cool things you can do with technology and just recreating those songs, and for sure I know exactly what you're talking about.
So when you are surrounded by thousands of hoes and selling out Madison Square Garden, you better send me pictures You better send me tickets or else.
I got you, Joe.
Okay. So before I take the mic away from you, is there anything you want to say? Promote any words of wisdom, the winning lottery numbers? The mic is all yours.
I just want to thank my wonderful, wonderful, beautiful fiance that I met through the Play It Back music program. Just for introducing us. I really we watched your documentary last night, and I was so touched, man. Really, I don't know, we're gonna have a separate conversation or something, but it really just moved me on so many different levels, Joe.
Wait, which one though? I have hundreds of videos now.
It was the one you had a playlist for it. I think it was made 7 years ago. It looked like it might have been your
Oh no! You went when I was a baby. That's college days. Nah, I'm totally different now.
Yeah. I mean, I watched some of your other stuff. I don't know why I watched that one and I just got sucked in because our experiences are so similar and there's just so much in common. And yeah, it's just, I don't know. It's like when someone's gone through similar experiences, then you it just touches you. You know what I mean? So I really felt what you were going through at that time for sure. For real. And it moved me.
But let's talk about you, though. This is about you, bro. My ego's already high, so. Let's end it up with, what are your winning lottery numbers? I think it's 5 numbers and then 1 special number.
My winning lottery numbers?
Yeah, let's do it. Man, they'll make it easy, so. I don't know. Just give me 5 of your favorite numbers and we'll call it a day.
Okay. We'll go with 3, 12... 21, 7. I have one more, right?
Mm-hmm.
33.
Okay. So if anyone wins, please let me know and I won't tell Brian. Okay? But thank you so much, Brian, for giving me your time and your story. Thank you, everyone, for listening and watching. And bye.